I say making films, and this goes for short films, anything else. I say it's the most expensive drug
No,
on
it's
the
true. It's a
market.
really
And
expensive
that's not on the
addiction.
market. It's like the most expensive drug that's not on the market. It's in the deep jungles. Because, yeah, you do it, especially when you're either writing or directing and it's like yours. And you finish a set, and as long as it wasn't absolute hell, which there's plenty of hellish things in it, but as long as it's not absolute hell, yeah, you're just wanting to chase that.
Welcome to the Red, Green, Blue podcast.
All right. Welcome to the RGB podcast. We're talking to Matt Heder, who has a distinctive last name because he is from a prominent film family. I'm kidding. I'm not. No, but no, his brother was Napoleon Dynamite. And so you'll see a family resemblance to Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, you guys have a pretty strong family look, right? Do you get that? Do you get mistaken?
Yeah,
Do you get
look,
called that?
voice. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely some. We have that. I feel like families are either they look half of them look like the mom, half of them look like the dad. Ours is like that combo where we all kind of look pretty similar. Yeah,
Oh, do you? Well, it's great,
yeah,
and he's a successful filmmaker himself. He's done a number of short films that have been done well, and he's also has some projects in development. And if you know anything about filmmaking, like you have to enjoy the journey because it takes a long time to get something made. It just really does. And so we're going to talk about his experience being in development on stuff, and his short films are just gorgeous. You can look him up on at mattheder.com. Oh no, it's Cider Press Pictures, right?
both work.
Both
Yeah,
work, both go to the
yep,
same place.
yep.
And he's got great cover art and they're great stories. And I've worked with Matt for a while and I really enjoy working with him. But in fact, we were just discussing his name that Ashton Kutcher mispronounced it, Heder. And then
Yeah,
it's done that repeatedly, which is really rude for an actor, by the way.
yeah. Gets
So,
him on a show. He punks
yeah.
my brother with the help of one other brother, and he can't get our name wrong or right.
Right. Seriously. And especially like since his name isn't like the easiest name in the world. Like and so but it's funny, but so my name is Hedengren, which is Swedish. And so and his is Swedish too. But
Yep.
you don't know. It's funny because like when I went to Europe, I actually found a Swedish person. I said, say my name. And I recorded it. And so in Sweden, my name, I'm going to say this is the only thing I know in Swedish. I'm going to say my name is Mark Hedengren, but I'm going to say it in Swedish. It goes, Jag heter Mark Hedengren. And so it's
Hedengren.
Hedengren. Like it's nothing like how we say in America, Hedengren. But
Maybe it
that's
is
why
closer to
everyone's trying to call his
Heder.
name Heder because
Yeah,
Hedengren.
honestly, maybe it is closer to Heder. I have to ask. Half of my family went over to Scandinavia for the summer, and I'm sure they probably, asked that. That's probably one of the first things.
Well,
So
it could be like Hedengren. So it's like it could be Hede. Hede.
Heda,
I bet
yeah,
it's like that, Hede, because that's
Heda,
how they say
Heda,
the R in Hedengren and the HED part. So
yeah, yeah.
Hede, and that would fit.
That sounds right.
That sounds
But
Swedish.
I like the American pronunciation. Heder.
Heater. You got to get those E's Hedengren.
Yeah, just
Everyone
put
just calls me
two E's in
Hendingen.
there. Hard R's. Yeah,
Yeah,
all that.
exactly. I love the nasal accent,
Yeah.
American accent. It's a lot of fun, especially Spanish, like Los Hermanos. It's just like the American accent on Spanish is funny, hysterical.
Yeah.
I feel. So
Yeah.
anyway, on to the filmmaking. So so you've made, how many short films have you made again? It's a number of
Just
them.
two. Just two.
Two.
Yeah.
Well, two. That makes you a veteran. So
Yeah.
well, it does. It's just hard to make any short film.
Yeah. I mean, at my age, I feel like sometimes I should have like 10 or something. But I'm just
Yeah.
really picky. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna put it out there and work that hard on it unless it's like my baby.
Well, it's quality over quantity, right?
Yeah, I
So,
guess.
yeah.
I mean, I could use the practice. Every filmmaker could use the practice. Just make a ton of stuff, but I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Perfectionist or
Short films are
something.
very different than feature films. And you look at feature film people, they actually don't do that many shorts. I don't know. Shorts are a quandary to be. I mean, and that's the thing. I remember even like I worked at the Sundance Lab in a very junior position. And one of the main reasons why Rob Redford said he had the Sundance Lab was because there's no way to really get experience as a director. And so he kind of like did the
Yeah.
lab to kind of workshop things so you could get practice as a director.
Yeah.
And so, what do you feel like you've learned the most from doing these shorts?
Poof, tons. I mean, going off of what you just said, yeah, I think I was just talking to someone the other day about, they're asking the reason for shorts, and they're like, okay, so what's the point of them? And I usually say, it's like maybe a threefold, I don't know, mission is, you're just getting experience, practice.
Yeah.
And like you just said, it's really hard as a director. I see other friends and crew members, whether it's DPs or um, even first ADs or other, just anyone else in the crew, they're just constantly on sets. And I'm just
Yeah.
like kind of on the sidelines watching, being like, I really want to get on set again. But when it's your project, that happens very little. And so, yes, one of it is just to get practice and hone your craft. And then a second one is your portfolio, just building something that is your voice, your style, and figuring that out in the process. And then the third one is sometimes it's proof of concept, or you're using that to do something else, whether that's to get that feature made and to use that as a tool, or to kind of get your foot in the door at certain festivals to then talk about a feature. I don't know. That third one's a little. It could be a couple different things, but it feels like those three things. So for me, I mean, yeah, it's done. It's done all of those. Um, and it's just I say making films, and this goes for short films, anything else. I say it's the most expensive drug
No,
on
it's
the
true. It's a
market.
really
And
expensive
that's not on the
addiction.
market. It's like the most expensive drug that's not on the market. It's in the deep jungles. Because, yeah, you do it, especially when you're either writing or directing, and it's like yours. And you finish a set, and as long as it wasn't absolute hell, which there's plenty of hellish things in it, but as long as it's not absolute hell, yeah, you're just wanting to chase that. You're just like, oh, I need that high again, and I want to find out any way I can. But because it's such a difficult undertaking and it costs a lot of money, it always feels like, hence the drug. You're chasing it. So
Oh yeah, 100%.
yeah,
And yeah, I don't know. It's to me also, I mean, I find this in set, and I think people who maybe aren't like directing don't appreciate it, like if you're working in a more junior role, is that there's just like something about like people coming together on a common project, and it's just a blast. I mean,
yeah,
if everything's going well and people are getting along and so
sure.
on.
So a lot of times it's just like, hey, where do I want to? Even in the writing process, where do I want to set this so I can hang out with a big group of friends that we choose to hang out with for whatever it is. If it's a short film, 3 4 days. If it's a feature, like a month or something. Um, but yeah, a lot of times it's just really fun to build a family and a crew to hang out with. So,
No, 100%. Yeah. So, what has been your festival experience with these films? I mean, what do you feel like you've gotten out of that?
oof, that's a tough one. Yeah, my first short film, Cub Scout, that was back. We finished that in 21, and did the circuit in 22. And that was kind of my first. Been to a lot of film festivals, never with my film. I work at Sundance I've worked there for 15 years. It's kind of just a tradition now. It's like a way to just go
At the
back and
festival?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
And yeah, I've worked on the fleet, and I've like managed and or drive like on the fleet that drives the sponsored cars and drives all the filmmakers around. And I started it
Wow, that's
back when I
actually a
was
really
like,
prestigious position. It means they trust you because they're like, oh, this
yeah,
person can be around our famous people and we're okay with
sure,
that.
well, yeah. Yeah, you kind of learn a couple tricks
You're not
pretty
going to
early
be
on,
like,
but
yo, J-Lo, how's it going? Jennifer Lopez.
she
Anyway.
actually was driven by our crew, I think, last year for her musical.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that's been really fun, and so I've had a lot of experience like at the festivals, but having a film there, not necessarily at Sundance, but at other festivals was just it's very different. You kind of learn a lot. I had a crash course where I was like, hey, I'm just going to submit it. Uh, in our crowdfunding, when we were raising funds for the short film, I designated a certain amount just to go towards film festival entries.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just submitted it to a ton, and it was just like, let's just see what happens. Yeah, you find out a lot that there's unfortunately a lot of festivals that are just kind of, for lack of a better word, or a scam. Like they're just
Scam, yeah. No, there are
scam,
a lot of
spam.
dodgy festivals. Yeah, they're just
Yeah,
collecting submission fees and
they're collecting
yeah,
fees, or they just kind of they put on something, but it's so little. It doesn't have any prestige. It's not fun. So anyway, there's just a lot out there, and you have to filter through a bunch. So if you're making a film and you want to do that, the best thing to do is to talk to someone that's had one or two films and be like, okay, what are the great ones? And it's not just like the top 10 biggest ones. A lot of times I've discovered the most fun and the most rewarding are these really fun pocket, like local festivals that like they go all out on treating the filmmaker well. They go all out and having these like events and mixers and awards and just really love films. And sometimes the big ones, your little film just gets lost in it, and you never really meet the creators or the directors, and you kind of just get lost in it. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's a mixed bag. I've had some really amazing experiences with the film festivals. Then I've had some where I've traveled, to another country, shown up, and they're like, "Oh, hey," and they like walk away, and you're like, "Hey, I'm here. Our film's here," and
Uh-huh.
like you never see them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
So
Um,
yeah.
so what do you think was the hardest part for you? Was it the pre-production, the shooting, the post, when your film festivals and your movies, short films you've done?
Ooh, all that. Hardest part of the whole process of making
Yeah.
these films. What's the hardest part of filmmaking? Usually it's just getting the funds.
No, that's
You
true.
get
Yeah.
you get the idea, you get the script, and then you're like, all right, how do we make this? How do we
How do you
get
pay
this?
for this?
Yeah, it's funny when I did the first, I've done two Kickstarter campaigns for both of my short films. And before I did the first one, I was not against Kickstarter, but I was a little like, oh, I'm not doing that because it had been, it feels like there was like a 10-year gap between when it was like really a thing
Yeah.
back in like, I don't know, 2010, 11, 12. And then I was like, look, anybody can kind of get on and ask for money. It was always more impressive to me when somebody had already shot something and then they were asking for funds for like post production or festivals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of against it. So I did everything I could to self fund it, to put my own money and then ask, some family and friends for contributions. And that got a certain amount. And then finally I was like, okay, it was like right in the middle of COVID. And I was like, it's kind of an uncomfortable time to be asking people for money. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was just awkward. And so I kind of was like, you know what? I don't love the idea of the Kickstarter, but let's just try it. Why not? And
Mm-hmm.
I went all out on a lot of research on crowdfunding. What makes the video right? How long? What should I fill it? Like, just did a lot of webinars, things like that. And then super, super grateful. I put it up, and 3 days we met our goal.
Wow.
With like a 30-day campaign, and 3 days we met our goal. And so we could go, beyond that and hit our stretch goals for the next 27 days. So it was awesome. And I was like, oh, okay, this still works. Kickstarter still, and crowdfunding still works. So that was the first one. And then the second one was just kind of fearful again, like, oh, maybe I used up all the favors, but let's try it. Let's put it out there. And it was more difficult for that reason. Like, we definitely had to, me and my producers had to make more personal contacts. The platform Kickstarter just was kind of a place where people could send that money, but we
Yeah.
really had to reach out, one on one. And yeah, so that was, I don't know. I guess that's kind of the hardest, but every single step. I mean, on set, I mean, when you're doing a short film and it's low budget and you're traveling your crew across states to shoot it, and there's so many unknown factors. It's
Yeah.
just chaos. So
Oh,
that's
it
it's
every
beautiful.
step
It's a beautiful
is hard.
chaos, but it's
Beautiful
chaos.
chaos. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Um, so what projects are you developing? What are you working on now? I mean, you don't have to give details or anything, but like what do you do to move forward on those?
Yeah, well, right now I'm still in the festival circuit for my second short film, Astrovan.
Okay. Which I love the title,
And
by the way, as a
thanks.
former owner of an Astrovan. Love that car.
Wow,
Just
okay,
love it.
former owner.
No, it
It's
drives like a sports car. I don't know if you get that into your film, but
You
it's
know
got
what?
like
We don't
such good acceleration.
officially. I feel like I'm tricky with my titles because Cub Scout doesn't have any Cub Scouts in it. Astrovan doesn't actually have an
It
Astrovan in
doesn't
it.
have an
They're
Astrovan.
both all kind of play on words.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I got to give credit where it's due. Tony Cavallero, who you may know as Keith on Righteous Gemstones, he actually came up with that title
Really?
of Astrovan. Yeah, he was kind of playing with the script a bit, and I met him through someone else, and we were kind of tossing around fun ideas, and he was like, "Call it Astrovan." I was like, "Ooh, there's no Astrovan in it, but that's such a good title."
Well, no, that works.
So, but yeah, so for both of my short films, I'm developing them right now into features. We've been working on the Cub Scout feature for like 4 years.
Okay, so the
I
shorts are
mean,
proof of
feel
concept
free to,
for
we can
your
dig
feature
into
film.
that. Yeah, yeah. For me, they were both proof of concept. They were practice, and they were just like, yeah, getting things out there. But yeah, Cub Scout, that one's been tough. We were 10 days away from shooting it back in 2023 before the strikes were voted on.
Okay.
And we had our actress out from Australia. We had all of our locations scouted, and it just was, yeah, I mean, the strikes were voted on, and financiers don't love strikes. And it was
Gosh.
just, it was really tough. It just, yeah, it
Wait,
was
so you're
our,
shooting a feature film when that happened? Or like
yeah, we were like just less than 2 weeks away from shooting the
2 weeks
feature.
away, and then it
Yep.
just the strike. Oh my goodness, and everything
Yeah.
fell apart.
And so, yeah, and then it's just
Man.
been trying to piece it back. And we only have this window every year of the summer because it all takes place in the mountains in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have to work around our lead as a kid and school schedules because the moment they're in school, you have less time, it's more
Oh no.
expensive. So there's like, oh, we miss a year. Okay, well, let's try next year. Oh, we missed that. Let's try next year. So yeah, I've been working on that really tough for a couple years, hoping next summer we just cast one
Jeez,
of
that
our
is
leads.
exhausting to even think about. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
also
we've had to
actors get older,
recast.
right? I mean, if you're doing it
Yeah,
with kids,
we've
like
already
a year
yeah,
or two, they age out of the role.
that was tough. We had one of our main actor, yeah, same thing. He was yeah, I mean it's like an aging out thing where you're like, okay, that sucks. We cast you, we spent all that time and yeah. So we've had to go to the drawing board again and kind of shorten up some of the script, redesign some things. We've had to recast, but we've just recently casted some of the main roles again, and so we're feeling really good about it for next summer. And at the same time, developing the feature for Astrovan. So
Well, that's good. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, I think
so
that's what it takes is to have multiple projects going at the same time.
yeah,
Like, and all the big guys do that. In fact, fun fact I read is that the reason why Lord of the Rings got made is Peter Jackson was actually originally working on King Kong, but something fell apart that he couldn't do King Kong, and he had all this infrastructure built for CGI for King Kong. He said, "I'm going to go bankrupt if I don't get another project now. What
yeah.
can I do?" And so he did Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
So and then King Kong
he had
came
a
out
whole
after
team
Lord of the
working
Rings.
on stuff down in New Zealand and was like, I got to keep this team employed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like this team I built is going to fall apart. So I mean, just to me, it's funny that like the probably the most influential trilogy in cinema history, or one of. I mean, it just
Yeah.
basically launched the whole
Well,
IP
yeah,
movement.
and I love the making of that trilogy. It's fascinating in every aspect and
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, even that one that, in hindsight, yes, was amazing and it made all this money, but like it was even the very, very last studio that they were visiting on the very last day that they could.
Yeah.
That's greenlit it. New Line Cinema. All before that, you hear all these. Yeah, yeah. I've read the book on
You read
the
that book.
making.
We probably read the
Yep.
same book.
Yeah, it's
Honestly, if you're
amazing.
interested in film, what is it called? I can't remember.
I've got it. I've
You
got it
got
right
it?
here. Yeah,
Right there. Because
right
everyone involved in
here.
film should read this book.
This one.
That one. The
Yep, and
Making
the
of Middle
making of
Earth.
Middle Earth. Yeah, what is it?
Yeah.
It's called Anything You Can Imagine. Yep.
Anything you imagine. It's the most
It's
detailed production
yes.
book I've ever read.
He talks about all the trials and tribulations of pre-production and getting it off the ground and casting and yeah, just everything. It's great.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah.
and to me it's fascinating that it was so hard, even though he had a pretty good track record at that point. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it was a gamble. They were looking at it saying, yeah, you've proven this festival route and you've proven like B horror movie route, but
yeah,
how does that translate to a giant trilogy
a
that are
giant
like
trilogy. Sure, it was
epic
his first
and yeah,
big
so
Hollywood thing, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, and
but
he
yeah, it's
wasn't backed.
fascinating book.
Yeah, he wasn't backed by like Spielberg and Cameron at the time or something. So he was just a small team down in little country of New Zealand.
That's true. New
So
Zealand is like before Lord of the Rings, they really weren't on the map much cinema wise.
yeah,
I mean, they were there,
no.
of course, killer landscape. But well, that's great. So you're working. So Astrovan is also hopefully turning into a feature
Yeah,
film.
we're about 55 pages into the script now, and me and my co-writer Bryson Curl, we're just kind of plugging away. Yeah, I think that one's going to be a lot of fun. They're both. It's fun to see how the features shape into their own, very much their own creature, their own animal.
Yeah.
Compared to the short. The Cub Scout, I think, feels a little more like the short, whereas Astrovan, it's turning like really into its own thing and very different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's something I've thought about a lot is like the relationship between the shorts and features and the differences. And I mean, for example, what was it? Pixar, they would have a development track. They'd have directors do shorts to kind of discover talent within the company.
Yeah.
But there's just a feature film is really a completely different medium in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels so different. I mean, you can show a character, you can show some sort of like the world they're in, but that long character arc is just a very different thing. I mean,
And
so what
it's
have
a
you
total
found?
different skill too. Like
Yeah.
I've noticed those sometimes it doesn't translate. Like someone who's really amazing at making shorts, it's like it's a bummer that shorts don't really pay,
No, it's a shame.
because because there's some of
It's a
those you're
wonderful
like,
medium.
yeah, they're like that's their talent, like,
Yeah.
and sometimes it won't translate the same as to a feature. They're really good, and like with me, I'm constantly thinking like feature structure in my head
Mm-hmm.
that it's really hard then to say like, oh, is this short film stand alone? Does this work well? Because I just want to continue building this world, or I want to sit with this a little longer. But a short film is like, no, you cut that out, cut that out. You are just getting this little tiny thing. And yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to practice because that's exactly what that is. You're just honing your skill, honing your craft. And I think that all comes in handy when you're doing the feature because feature's not a television show. And so, same thing, you have to really condense it. And you can't just take all this time and next episode. No, it's all just hour and a half.
No,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So I guess like for you, what is stretching out that character and making sure there's enough depth there in the plot and stuff to really carry it for an hour, 90 minutes? Is that one of the biggest challenges or?
No, the bigger challenge is just having too much stuff.
Too much stuff. Well,
Yeah, you're like,
removing the stuff that doesn't matter, that
yeah,
doesn't lead to it.
you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, this is so cool. Let's build this scene. Oh, this is cool. We could go this direction, this direction. So, I mean, that's the thing. The first draft, you're always just like, just start writing, just throw it all out there because you're just gonna cut and cut and cut and cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, at least for the first time, that's the struggle. Is like, okay, I can't make this film about everything that I want to make a movie about. I've got to pick kind of like, 1 to 2 themes, or I got to pick these plot points as opposed to just throw everything in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if it's not, what is it? It's like you need to develop a character, advance the plot, or I can't remember. There's another one. Anyway, it's best to do all three at once if you can.
Yeah.
And there's very few movies that can pull that off.
Yeah, and I was looking at a scene where you can say, okay, is it getting 2 to 3 things done in this one scene? It feels like a television show, and this isn't a diss, it's just a different, medium. Television show, you can take one scene and say, okay, like all we're going to do is just kind of meander and develop this character, because that's all we need to do in this. Whereas like, with a film, you're like, yes, can we develop this character? Can we also move this plot line along? And can we also move this emotional arc along? Like, you have to do 3 things in every scene.
Yeah. No, that's true. Like, you'll even see like whole episodes, like of Law and Order, where they just develop one aspect of one character. And especially back in the day before these long story arcs in TV, they would just start at ground zero over and over again. Like that, like Seinfeld, they're always back at the same place, basically, by the end. So, well, that's interesting. You have a writing partner. How does that work? I mean, how do you like that? I've heard people go one way or the other on that.
Yeah, I don't consider myself, writing is not my emphasis. So mine is, and you discover these things as you go throughout the years, like what is your talents. But I kind of came from an editing background. That's what I was always doing from first day I was, picking up cameras. I was just like, let me play in post, let me edit. And so directing and editing was my emphasis. Out of necessity, I've produced and I've written. I like producing some aspects. Writing is just, I really like taking it from, I don't know, we said the director's angle of like, if there's a script, I want to tweak it and I want to make this mine and I want to put my touches. And so writing is kind of a necessity, more so than like that's my skill and that's my talent. So my writing partner, Bryson Curl, I met him at BambooHR, a company that I worked at for 6 years at their in-house video. And he came on board just as a copywriter and just, loved films and always wanted to do scripts. And so we kind of started assigning him, and he, volunteered his name to do little video scripts on our team. And then eventually him and I just had a good rapport and like, thing going on that we were like, all right, maybe this translates to stuff outside the company.
Well, that's amazing. You met somebody at a job that you wanted to work
on. And like writing is his passion. And so this is the first time we're kind of really writing together. And the other times it's usually like I make a story and an outline, then he puts it in the format, then I tweak, and then he tweaks. This is like, hey, we're sharing this script, and I think it's like he could just write and write and write, and he can go. And I'm like, okay, it takes a bit to get in that zone. I don't like the actual writing process. I just like the story creation and the outline. And so, yeah, I think it's a really good like. Hopefully we'll see. We don't have a feature yet, so maybe everybody hates our writing collaborations, but I think it works.
This is garbage. You're not Siegfried and Roy. You're Siegfried and Dorcas. Sorry, no.
And he's amazing at dialogue. So like, I'll have a story beat. I'll have, hey, here's kind of what I want to do with the characters, and he's like, great, give that to me. I'm gonna go and write all this dialogue to fill in.
No, that's great. No, honestly, I think like just working collaboratively, and I mean, to me, like, in fact, I just had this applies to engineering too, I feel. Like there was a guy, we had a technical problem, and we were trying to get this machine to work, a vintage film processor that people may be aware of. Anyway, to process analog film. I had so many problems. But when we started working on together, like he was solving problem, then I was solving problem, and we powered through like 20 problems that would have taken either one of us probably a day to figure out each one. We did it all in one day. I mean, there
Yeah.
really is. Like, if you have something that clicks, it's like having
Yeah.
four-wheel drive. I mean, it's just
Well,
really
and
amazing. It's
that's
way
the
better than two
director's.
individuals.
I even from our CEO at Bamboo HR, I learned this from him. I've learned it from other directors. Like, your job is to hire people smarter than you.
Yeah.
You hire people that are more talented, that are smarter than you, and they
Yeah.
will help you get your vision across. And really, like, you just need to hire the right people. That sounds almost
Yeah.
like it's a cop out, but it's like, no, that in itself is a talent to say, I'm going to assemble the right team. Um, yeah,
No,
and
it's true.
so that's what I always try to do. It's like my crew. It's like those. Whenever I usually get a crew together, I'm just amazed. It's like, oh, this gaffer knows his crap. Like,
Yeah.
they know how to do this. And then my DP, and so yeah, it's fun to surround yourself around people that you feel at least are way more talented at that specific thing. So
Yeah, no, to me, like, you should be your goal as a filmmaker to be the dumbest person in the room. I mean, which sounds counter, like, but
yeah,
like, no, you want to be the dumbest person in the
it's
room. And
taste. It's taste, really. At least with the
yeah,
director and even the
yeah,
writer a bit. It's just like, what's your taste? Because then
yeah,
yeah. I mean, you're gonna have this team making this thing, but it's like, we know other directors that are very talented, that are very able, and they're working really hard, but you're like, I don't, it's not my taste, it's not my
yeah.
flavor.
Yeah,
So
well, yeah,
yeah,
well, and also, yeah, well, taste, but yeah, I mean, you want to be on the same page and we want to make the same movie because there's nothing more
yeah,
miserable than you're trying to make a comedy and they're trying to make a horror film, or
yeah,
or
yeah,
they're
yeah,
trying to make you're trying to make an art film and they're trying to make a blockbuster. I don't know. It's
yeah.
like, and you'd be surprised like how often that happens because people
Which
just
is
kind of
hard
get
because
attached. You're like, wait a minute, go ahead.
yeah, you get on set and I don't know. I'm still figuring this out. How do you get across that vision to your crew as best as possible?
Yeah.
You can have a lot of meetings with your cast because you're going to do that anyway.
Hmm.
And you can have conversations with them, but I do think it's really important that, like, your costume designer, your hair and makeup, your, like I said, your grip, your gaffer, like, that they actually kind of know what you're going for, and it's not just a gun for hire.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. You're not usually having meetings. Hey, let me tell you all about what I'm exactly trying to do and why, and here's the details. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one.
Yeah.
How
Well,
do
it's
you
also,
communicate that?
yeah, I think it's also just kind of what they've worked on the past and like the way they solve problems. It's like,
Yeah.
and we supplied gear to a film production has prom. It was from the daughter of the biggest name in Hollywood. So I'm going to totally not say any details. But she, like, I remember she came to me and she's like, look, this is super low budget. This is just about the actor, the script. That's it. We can do it with like 3 C stands and a camera. And I just like, okay. And like, so she just didn't want to spend any money. But they got this DP who had just come off a major Netflix series.
Okay.
And so then like I had that from the producer, that from the director, then the DP from the Netflix series is like, we need all of this. And it was like, we need the nicest
Yeah.
lights. Everything had to be full RGB back when RGBs were super expensive, and everything to be this. And because he wanted to work fast and stuff. And I would just I mean, I don't know. And I go to the director and the producer and say like, this is going to be not what you said, and this is going to
Yeah.
cost a lot. And they're like, give him whatever he wants. We're so grateful to have him. He's the guy. And so we did. But then we got to the end of the shoot, and they're like, they'd run up a huge bill. Like they had blown their budget probably 4 times over. But again, if they had gotten a guy, I mean, it's like, it seems like that would have been a good fit. But see, that guy he problem solved like a Netflix series DP. Whereas
Yeah.
if they had gotten somebody who had cut their teeth, who was used to kind of low budget films, who had worked on, I mean, if they had gotten the DP for, oh gosh, I don't know, like for, what's that movie?
Even
I don't
Danny
know.
Boyle's 28 Days. And
28
28,
Days,
28
yeah.
days and 28 years later.
Yeah,
Where you,
or yeah, just any like low budget art house movie. Like they should have even gone like, we're making a low budget art house movie. Let's look at the credits of the top directors, top 20 art house movies in the past 10 years and call these DPs because they had problem solved in the way they needed their film to problem solve.
Yeah.
And they didn't need the skill set of a big Netflix DP. And he did, and it's not like it's like sticking the wrong kind of oil in a car.
You get in a routine. Yeah, you get in a routine and you're like, okay, next production it's gotta match this or it's gotta be slightly above. It's hard to sometimes like, recalibrate, look at it and say, oh, we really can do this with one camera and this and that, tiny bit.
Yeah.
Even though we just came from this big,
Yeah, what is it? I had some. I mean, we supplied gear. That's the interesting thing about owning a rental shop is that you interface with a lot of different projects. So you see all elements in like a small way. But we were supplying gear to like a Steven Soderbergh project, and that guy, despite being one of the biggest names in Hollywood, he lights with one light. Basically,
I was gonna say he's pretty scrappy from what I've heard.
Super scrappy, and he makes it work. But nobody walks away from his movies thinking that was low production value, that was poor cinematography. He just makes the existing light work, and he does, and it's also he moves very quickly. He like if like a light bulb is the wrong color, he just lets it be the wrong color and just makes it work with the shot. He doesn't like coat it in gels or change out the bulb.
That terrifies me to like shoot some. I mean, that's not my expertise anyway, but to shoot it myself, I hear that when P.T. Anderson with Phantom Thread, that he didn't have a DP, he just kind of, I don't know if he, rerouted the money or if he just said, no, I'm just going to get the gaffer and make sure the team is just on top of it, can kill it. And then he was just designing it and shooting it himself.
Really?
At least with that one. All the rest of it is, I know he has a DP, but I know Phantom Thread, he shot and I was like, and it looks amazing. Yeah. That stuff terrifies me. Soderbergh, I think, shoots most of his stuff.
Yeah, he does. Crazy. I think he has like a made-up DP name and stuff even. But it's like, so I think, I mean, that's something you could do. I do think digital cinema has made it, because you can see on the monitor what it is. Whereas previously, it's always kind of, you never knew until you got the film process.
Yeah.
There it is.
Through that. Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's improved things. Also, that's improved rate of production. I mean, that's something I found is that like people who are used to shooting like 2 to 3 pages a day, shooting through 35 millimeter camera, they even got like kind of not used to the rate of production you could achieve with LED lighting and digital cinema cameras. Yeah. Like it really improved the rate of production. But if they were...
Yeah, we've gotten spoiled.
No, we are. We are spoiled. And, I mean, it's nice. I mean,
but
honestly,
the costs have risen in other areas.
Areas? What other areas have you felt like it's gone up in?
Oh, just labor.
Labor,
For the most part, it's...
Well, labor is by far your biggest expense. Equipment is.
Yeah, and for the most part, that's a good thing. We want to pay fairly. We want to treat people right. And for, decades before, it was just a constant struggle for crews and unions within that. And so, that is going up. But I mean, it's just like the notorious nature of even shooting in LA, which I think is coming down just because the amount of projects that aren't shot there now. But location fees, because LA knew it was LA and they're like, we can hike this up. And so there's just like kind of a lot of these little things that have gone up over these years while other tech and other stuff has gone down. So you just trade off. I don't know. You trade off different things. I mean, you hear Mel Gibson talk about the difference of being on like Braveheart as opposed to when he did Hacksaw Ridge. And that's crazy. He was like, oh, it's a whole different, because he had a long gap between those. He had 2 other films in between that. But he was like, oh, this is a whole other thing. I'm still expected to do a big giant battle, a big giant army. But I'm kind of have to like be a little bit, how would you say it? He's just, I don't know if it's just smarter. Braveheart, he's like, let's just hire an army. Let's just hire all these horsemen. Let's get them on this field and let's have 10 cameras all shooting it. Yeah. And where like his new one, he's like, oh, we have less than half of that budget. So now let's build out some of that in post. Let's make sure we only have 2 cameras and we have to be very, smart about how we do this. So it's a different beast. But
Well, yeah. So it sounds like you got some pretty good cast in your shorts, right? So you got somebody from Gemstone, Keith from Gemstone, who's like
Oh,
one of the lead roles, if I remember right.
he wasn't in it. He just we were talking to him a long time ago about
Well,
being
you're
in
just
it, but
talking to him. You
schedules.
just said the
Yeah, yeah,
Hollywoodness. Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Um,
I was at a
no, we had
party.
we had some mutual friends, and I was like, I sent him the script and was like, hey, do you want to be in this short film? And he was really cool and had some ideas for the stuff, and then it just schedules didn't line up. I think he was actually starting the last season of Righteous Gemstones right when we were going to be shooting it, and so it was like, oh yeah, no big deal. But yeah, we were going back and forth, and like I said, he pitched the name Astrovan, so it was fun.
No, that's great.
But
So
yeah, I mean,
what's been your experience navigating casting though? I mean, sounds so
I don't know.
like
It's
you just
different
call
thing.
up the agent and say, here's a script and mail it in and just, or is it
No,
like
I mean,
personal connections or?
I haven't had a huge cast for any of my films.
Mm,
Um, for Cub Scout, the kid was the hardest one. He was
yeah.
supposed to be a 13-year-old kid, and that was one where we went a little more traditional route. Emily Roth, who's a casting agent here in Utah, she yeah, she like went out for a lot of kids there, and I said, okay, can we reach outside of Utah? Um, and like the first person she found was in Seattle, and so that was a little more of like a traditional search for this kid. And then everyone else was like either a contact or a friend or somebody I'd worked with before, and
Yeah.
we would have them read like one little scene, just kind of see how it would work, and had a couple people do that, but that wasn't really like traditionally through the agency. And
Hmm.
then Astrovan, there's only two cast members, and both of those, one was like we still had a couple auditions, but they were through friends of friends.
Hmm.
Um, so I just have them send a tape in, and then Steve Agee was a friend of my brother's, I mean, he's awesome. He's tons of fun, and he's putting out what's it called, the new season of Peacemaker tomorrow on HBO.
Cool.
Um, yeah, he's been doing all the fun press for that. But yeah, he just was one of those guys who was like, yeah, sure, like, friendly with my brother, and we chatted
Hmm.
on text. It's funny, one of the first texts I was like, hey, although this might be spoiler alert on my short film, I was like, hey, you read the whole script, right? You're gonna get totally naked. And he's like, sounds good.
Like, whatever. I'm well
Yeah.
endowed.
I was
I have
like, all
nothing to
right,
hide.
this
I have
guy's
nothing to
cool.
hide.
Yeah. All right, this guy's easy. And that was our first day, honestly, together. He showed up, flew in, and then we drove out to the Oregon coast. And I told him, I was like, all right, I got this like skin colored man thong for you, but you're gonna be naked, and there
Okay.
may
So
be
he wasn't
some.
totally naked. He's fine. He's a little, he had his dignity sort of
Uh,
covered.
I think two of the shots we were like, ditch it just in case. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, that's great. No, that's really that's nice. You have that connection and stuff. But that's a kind of, so are you going for like A-list actors? I mean, are what's the market like for that or
um, yeah. I mean, for the feature of Cub Scout, that's been casting for a feature is a way different. That's a lot more
well, because
difficult.
it's such a
Usually,
time commitment. That's like the
yeah,
big leagues, right?
shorts, you're kind of asking favors, you're seeing who can do what, you're seeing if they
Yeah.
like, and that's kind of that. And then it's a matter of how can you pay for them to come out, or
Hmm.
help them. But feature, yeah, I mean, it all just depends on the size of your project. You're looking at it and saying, okay, this is a micro budget film, okay, we're not too worried about having a name in there. But then you start elevating it, or it gets to this sphere, it's over 1 million, then it becomes this risk of not having a name. So then you go out, but you're a first time director, and it's that constant cycle of like, well, no one wants to sign. A lot of times they don't want to sign up for the first director. If they're a name actor, it's low pay, it's a small little indie
Hmm.
feature. But we need that. We need that
Yeah,
person
no, it's
to
true.
help with the financing and get it sold after. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just an ongoing chase. So yeah, it's really tough. We've done a lot of that casting for like 3 years, and just trying to get them to look at the script, And there's certain ages, certain demographics where, yeah, whether they're just looking at our project as seriously or their agents just like they're untouchable. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that's a world that has not been every other facet I can handle. Casting a name talent is not an easy thing, and it's just part of the struggle if you're trying to make a
It's
certain
funny.
size project.
Yeah, that's true. I was casting for a short, and there was, I'm not going to, I was going to say the name of the actress, but then it's a small world. And anyway, but it was a major actress who was involved in a major scandal. And I thought, and it was like everywhere. And anyway, and I was like, you know, one who nobody's calling now? This major actress who was in a major scandal who nobody's calling, I
Yeah,
bet. So I called up their agent and said, hey, I'm doing a short. Would she be willing to do this short? And they're like, man, the agent was like, I can't think of a single reason why she would do this. I was like, well, really, is anybody else calling her? I mean, I don't know if she really
you
has
asked
any other
that.
options. No, I said it very politely.
Okay.
Like, well, I just think she'd be really interested in it because it's about this and this, and this may interest her. And he's just like, well, send your stuff over and we'll think about it. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. So for your indie film people out there, and then actually I ended up killing the project weirdly. Like because I was just kind of like, nah, there's a reason why no one's doing a project with her. And like, oh shoot, I gave away the gender. There's a reason why that is, and I don't want to be like tied up in that. And so there we
Yeah.
have it. I mean, and even like little no-name me, in which I'm like, I don't have a reputation, but it's just like, I just don't want to be involved in these conversations that are
Sure. Yeah.
surrounding
Yeah.
her, and that's why nobody's calling her. So even
Yeah.
though it's like
It's
a
a
household
thing.
name, you just don't
It's
want
a
to do that.
thing. I think one of the most nerve-wracking parts of that process of the casting and whether it's a name or not, or working with the big agencies is
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to just, get this meeting and you're trying to kind of really sell them on this and get them to really look at the materials, the script,
Yeah.
the pitch packet, anything else. And that's a very difficult part. Then you kind
Yeah.
of handful of those, will say, yeah, we'd love to meet with the director because that's at least for me, that's a huge part of my goal is because it's like I want to make sure that we do vibe. I want to make sure that it feels all right and we understand each other. And so mine is always like, yeah, the offer's contingent on like meeting me and like let's chat. And
Mm-hmm.
the nerve wracking part is like it feels like, oh, they like the project, they like the script, they want to meet, and they meet, and it's like all this pressure that it's like, okay, I better be on my best social game or social
Yeah.
behavior. I'm having a chat like this on Zoom. If they say no, it feels like, I mean, I say it feels like it is. It's directly,
It's an
I mean, I don't know.
evaluation of
There's
you
so
as a
many
person.
factors but yes, it's an evaluation of me, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you didn't, you didn't like how we chatted.
Well, it's
So
nice
I
you
had a
got in a
couple of those.
conversation. I mean, that's a real achievement in itself, I feel. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
if
yeah,
they're even
yeah.
taking
So
the time to talking to you, that means
I
you've done
know,
something
and I've
right.
met with a handful that were like bigger names, and yeah, I had that experience where I was like very down or like just lacked any confidence after for a little while because I was like, well, they said no, but after talking to me,
No, no, honestly, I think you got to
so
take like every step of the way as like an achievement. Like,
yeah. And it feels
like,
that way right when you get it. And then you're like, okay, everything's riding on this. All they have to do is say yes, and we can get financing for it. And then they meet with you for like 2 hours, and you're like, oh, this is a great conversation. And then they're like, yeah, it's not for me. And you're like,
oh,
oh. Yeah. So that's not very fun process.
no, no. I mean, again, I think that's the
It's
thing.
fun
Like,
meeting a lot of different people, and I,
yeah,
love that. But yeah, it's just a little nerve wracking because of that.
yeah. Well, I mean, just like what is it? I heard Ron Howard say this once. That, like, no matter what in film production, and honestly, this applies to any medium, quite frankly. If you're, it's the same way in visual art. Like, you're just going to chase a lot of dead ends. But the thing is, you have to
Yeah.
remember is that you only need one yes.
Yeah.
Like if you got like 10
Yeah.
yeses, like that would almost be a problem. Like you really just
Yeah.
need one. And
And the
so,
and the yeses that we have gotten, I've noticed that there's someone that has either immediately or like read the script, gone through it, and they're like, I'm back. because I love this thing, and they got it. And most of the ones that were always like a pass, they just hadn't, at least most of them hadn't really gone through the materials and hadn't really
Mm-hmm.
considered it, or it really just wasn't a right fit. And so you're like, yeah, I don't, want them saying yes and then feeling later like it wasn't a right fit. So yeah, the yeses, when you do get those, it's great because you are like, oh, you got the vision. So
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, like in film, you have to celebrate those little victories as
Yeah.
they progress. But then you'll have like 5 little victories and then one big setback. You're like, well, that wiped out the 5 little victories. But
yeah,
I don't know. But at least like progress was happening.
yeah.
Because I mean,
and then you just hope you get a yes, and then you just hope nothing happens between now and when you shoot, because you're like, okay, we got it. Yeah.
like a major scandal happens or gets unearthed.
Exactly.
But yeah. So yeah, I think that, I don't know, those little yeses. I don't know. Yeah, no, they're enjoyable. But I think, yeah, there's so many things that can set you back, like you're saying. And also in production, I bet when you wrote Boy Scout, right? It's called Boy Scout.
Cub Scout.
Cub Scout.
Yeah,
Cub Scout. Like when you weren't thinking that like, having a 13-year-old is going to be difficult. Did you realize that?
No.
Like casting a 13.
No.
It's funny how you make decisions and you're like one time I wrote a script, and this is just a script problem, and the character was indecisive. And that just caused me so many problems throughout the whole script to have an indecisive character. Like it's hard to keep that up. It seems minor, but it was kind of it was a real problem. So anyway, you make decisions early on, like having a 13-year-old, and then you don't realize, like in the real world, that translates into
and
1 year window for somebody.
You balance that too, because they all say when you're writing, don't pay attention to the production stuff, the budgetary stuff, just write. And yeah, you do that, and then you try to do your best to kind of, at least when you're doing a very small indie or a short film and budget is a thing, you are really looking at it saying, yeah, what are the compromises? Because I do know that that's going to be difficult. The kid thing was always like, I know that casting the right kid, like I know the history and why that can be really tough. So I knew of that, but there was a lot of other areas where I was like, we don't have a big cast, so I don't really have to spend much time with casting anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
They're all at this age where I think we could find some really good, I know, actors that could fill in all of these roles. So it was like mostly all one location, all outdoors, on location. So there was a lot of other areas where I was like, okay, I'm making it really easy with these things, because I know that this one thing is kind of tough. So I think there's a balance of trying not to spend too much time thinking about the budgetary restrictions or the creative restrictions, but also then, being real about it.
Easy about it, but there was things that were hard. Like the 13-year-old was hard, whereas the location and so on was easier. So yeah, well, that's interesting. So, like, to me also, like, this is like, we're talking about this process. The reason why you celebrate the little victories is that the biggest danger is you just get stuck in dreamland, and then you just stop putting yourself out there, right? Because you're not going to make any progress if you're not making phone calls and you're not sending stuff out or making stuff or so on. So, and then just your life goes by, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I need to do something. I need to.
Yeah. There's always
I need to go door-to-door solar sales. That's what I need to go do.
Yeah, when you're trying to make this feature for 3 years, it certainly takes a hit on you on plenty of other sides, mentally, emotionally, budgetary. Yeah, it's not an easy thing. You gotta love making movies. That you'll go through hell to get it. So
yeah, well, that's great. So, well, I feel like we've had a great conversation. Is there anything else you feel like we didn't cover or you wanted to talk about? But
not that I'm prepared with.
Not what I'm prepared with. No, so we've covered it. We've covered everything. But honestly, no, I think this has been fascinating. And because again, like, that's one of the things I want to do with this podcast is I want to get people all over filmmaking. Because again, like, I remember reading this, like like I was reading a book on like advice on casting, and Steven Spielberg said, well, what I do is I watch TV and I watch movies and I think who I'm going to cast. I'm like, well, that's because you're Steven Spielberg. That's not like really a practical thing. Like you can cast anybody.
I mean, I've got my Apple Notes, and that is, the list is growing, and then I have one per movie where I say, this is my dream list, this is my dream list, this is my, and I go through and it's got all that. Yeah, I mean,
well, I guess you should go for your dream list for sure, and just work with what you can.
That's one thing. Also, I think it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to ask. It's always one of those. We're so intimidated by some of these huge agencies for good reason. Like they protect their clients really well, but it's like you may just hit them at the right time with the right project. Don't be so intimidated. It's like you can't ask.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
And honestly, like it's amazing what you can get for $10,000 in a day. I mean, like even really big names. Like, I mean, and honestly, I mean, no,
I was like,
yeah, well, I don't know. It depends if you get them at the right time. Like, was it Nicolas Cage was in all these low budget films because he was like having trouble with IRS. I mean, like you don't know what's going on. And so you might as well try. And my motto is always let them tell you no, don't tell yourself no.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good one to live by. And they're more accessible than you think, I feel. Because like it's
I've heard
industry,
this
not many people are even in it.
The trick is the actual agents and the managers themselves. And that's not like a diss to them. It's just that most actors, I mean, unless it's like a total crap project or just junk and you have nothing to it, but it's like most actors, they want to look at it. They want to consider it. They want to see something that they haven't done. They are really excited about working just, constantly. But getting past, the gatekeeping and getting past that, that's tough. But for the most part, actors really, they are interested.
Yeah, well, and that's the gatekeeping. And also, the agent has different interests than the actor. Like the agent's really looking to see how much money they can get out of every project, for the most part, because they get a percentage of that. And I even had there wasn't a big name actor, but they did have representation. And I was in the process of casting an actor, and I was in the process of talking to the agent, and her husband came to me and said, "Mark, the agent has blown these up in the past. She really wants to be in this movie." And so whatever happens, just make sure the agent doesn't screw it up because you're not paying enough or something. Like she wants to be in it. And so you had the husband.
Which I don't know how, you're like, well, I can't, I have to talk to the agent, through the agent. So
yeah. Well, again, and that's a sign of like actors. Sometimes they shouldn't sign with an agent because it really can just end up becoming a block to them more of a block to them. But, that's a story on that front. But the agents, but you can get through. But even then, reach out. I've always been surprised. Like you can call up an agency and be like, "Hey, can I talk to like this actor who was in disgrace?" I was surprised how it took me 2 transfers to get to her agent, and I was like, "Wow, that was surprisingly easy." And the reason why I called her is I was hearing about the scandal on the radio, and I was like, "Huh." I should go give her a call. I just went upstairs and called. And there you go. Got right through. Anyway, I do think as you know, like once you're in the meeting, being the type of person, because they see a lot. And I think that's where most people fall apart. Just being the type of person who even on the phone, you sound like you know what you're doing. You sound like a serious person. You sound right. And there's kind of like they've got a feel for people who know how to navigate this. And that's where it's worthwhile. Like for me, I worked for a director in LA, and I just saw what she did on the phone and stuff. And like just watching her work was like incredibly valuable in just knowing what a serious director sounds like. And but a lot of people they don't know that, and they don't have nowhere to even learn that skill. Unfortunately, I guess you could watch.
And all these years you hear like, oh, passion sells, and the truth is it does with the artist, but it's more of like they want to know that they're in good hands. That's your crew as well. Like your crew, your cast, they want to know that they can trust you, that they're in good hands. So sometimes it's not just like, hey, I got this wild vision, let me just reenact it and show you. It's like, your passion's going to come out no matter what if you are the director and you love this
Yeah.
project. That's going to come out no matter what. Besides that, it's a matter of trust. It's a matter of, do we get along? Do you feel okay with me? Do you want to take this journey and this ride with me? Because it's a little nerve wracking going to somewhere, whether it's on location, and you're spending it with the crew and cast that you don't know.
Mhm.
You don't know what the final product is going to be, and you're kind of hoping it's this because you like the script, but you just don't know. So, they're taking a big gamble with you. The best you can do is, hope that they do your best to help them trust you.
Yeah, no, and also I think like in these when you're talking to people, it's like to be film literate is important. Like you should have seen at least part of Dr. Zhivago, and
Yeah,
I don't know, you should just like be well rounded in your film
be a
viewing.
film nerd. It's okay.
Yeah, be a film nerd. Like if
Yeah.
if you've never seen a Woody Allen movie, they'll be like, "What?" If and they'll even do little tests like this. Film literate people do this to each other. They're like, as you know, in this and this, and then if you're like, "Huh?" They'll just be like, they'll just write you off, right? But anyway, it's really good talking to you, Matt. I'm going to say your last name in Swedish. We're gonna try it. Heder, Matt Heder. I don't know. I think you should look that up.
I'll have to
we'll have to practice it.
Sure, it's pretty easy these days between Google and AI. So
that's true. In fact, you can, if you're Swedish and you watch this, you can write the pronunciation below. But anyway, thanks for talking with us, Matt. It was really good talking to you. We're gonna sign off.